Hi, everybody. Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog. How you doing, Jason?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I know we've talked about this for a long time.
Okay, well, let's see how everything's working here. It appears to me that the video's working fine. Jason, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, what you're all about.
Jason Rice. I'm started car business in 1997, retailing cars out of a Ford store. And by 98, I was doing cars off the internet. So I was an internet manager back in 1998. And retailed till about 2005. Then I joined vAuto. I was one of Dale's first hires when he started. Back then, it was a company called Empower Auto before it turned into vAuto. Did that for a year or 8 years. I'm sorry, my last year there, I was a director of the Eastern region. And I left there just for personal reasons. I wanted to get off the road and be a better leader at home and church and for my family. And so I started LotPop about almost 7 years ago in September. It'll be 7 years September. And just to give dealers a little bit more hands-on help with the inventory management. That's what I learned over those years. Dealers just need a little bit more help. And I knew what it took. I literally stepped in. I know you've said this too, is, I've literally stepped in thousands of dealerships over the years and seen the good, bad, and the ugly and knew what worked and didn't. So I figured, give me a chance to step away and start helping some dealers.
Right now, it appears we're seeing a little more of the ugly. What do you see in the next couple months? What's happening right now in the car business?
Well, it's a little tricky season right now. I think some of these stores that are just starting to open back up, like in Michigan and stuff, one of our dealers just really got to start doing stuff this month, and they're actually starting to see an uptick in business. And I think it's just a delay from the March-April push usually. So I think it's not a false positive, but I mean, it's a good thing that it's happening. I think the stimulus money's coming in and people are spending money. I think people are going to be relying on their cars a lot more. I think a lot of road trips are going to be happening. We camp, and I think, RV sites, when we're trying to find camping sites, they're filling up. I think people are going to kind of do more of those staycations, have good, reliable car. So I think that's going to keep the business going, but used is probably going to get a lot of attention being the new car prices the way they are. But then in the meantime,
okay. Talk about the meantime.
Well, there's a level of wholesale inventory that's out there that really hasn't been, the floors haven't dropped. And so wholesale's kind of high right now. Guys are running really thin on their inventory. I think, again, the volume, which is good. They're running really lean. Example, I've got one of our dealers, I was just looking at his numbers. He's on pace to sell 120, but he only has 75 in stock. He needs to stock up. But wholesale is kind of high right now because these big corporations haven't lowered their floors. And I've literally seen videos of truckers driving by the Atlanta NASCAR track and just thousands of cars, rental cars, just sitting there. We know rental transportation companies saying it used to take them an hour to load a truck. Now it's taking 3 hours because they got to move 7 cars just to get to that one they got to get on their truck. And so we know that supply's there. I just read Dale's blog. He was talking about the supply is about double of the whole lane about where it should be right now. Everybody's struggling to get it. Only because the retail numbers to wholesale numbers haven't matched yet and caught up. So it's a little tricky season, but I do think by June, July, I think that spring selling season, that bubble we're in right now where a lot of people are pent up demand, and I think that's happening. But I think June, July, that kind of goes away. And at some point in time, like these Hertz and some of these other companies have to liquidate, and those cars are going to hit. And I think that's where dealers, if they don't stay lean and clean through this, are going to be hurting,
So the dealers that load up with inventory right now, there is a tsunami of inventory about to hit the market. And I hear that some of the rental car corporations might even go bankrupt. And if that were to happen, how much excess inventory do we see coming on the market and flooding the market with inventory? Right now, dealers can't get cars. I got dealers that are, my clients, they're looking for inventory. I mean, they're buying cars from other dealers. They're buying cars from Canadian dealers. I mean, it's crazy, but there is a time coming when perhaps we're going to see a flood of inventory, and prices are going to do what?
Well, they should drop. The only benefit would be or the only thing that can prop them up is if these companies can sustain their floors and say, no, we're no selling, and forcing people to buy what they have to buy it for, because the only time that's going to happen is when they have to have liquidity and they need to liquidate their inventory and get cash. So, I know of Ford, their program, they're trying to talk any of these lease returns to stretch it out for 6 months. So they're delaying all that flooding into the market. And if they do that, then again, that shortens the supply and the wholesale end, which then again can maybe maintain some floors where guys are just forced to buy it for those numbers. But then at that point in time, retail should catch up with it, right? I mean, retail, then the numbers should go up with it, and that you'll never really get ahead, because when you're busy and you got to go buy, you got to pay high, and then when it dies, you end up, and the traffic dies, well, then now you own cars you own high, so now you got to get rid of them and you're losing money there. And then when it's busy again, you got to pay up for them, and then the margins aren't there either. So it's a never ending game. And that's where I always tell dealers, you always want to be a hunter. Stay lean and clean, because you always want to be hunting and I always want to be that buyer and not be stuck holding the bag whenever these markets shifts. And these markets are going to move faster. You've seen it. I mean, I was around when 0% hit after 9/11. That was the first time 0% ever hit. We're busy as heck. Around when I was traveling around the country helping dealers get through the recession. And now we got this going on. I think this market's going to move faster than those ever did. And like I said, dealers just going to have to stay lean and clean. No one knows what's going to happen. This is all speculation, but I do think the only way that those values stay up is if these companies can hold to their floor, forcing these dealers to buy them. If not, yeah, it's going to start crashing a bit. I think my prediction, again, speculation, is I think we got another 10 to 15% drop in wholesale values probably by July.
Right, because I've been doing this 45 years, and 45 years I've seen so many cycles hit, but this has got to be the worst cycle, the worst phenomenon that I've ever experienced in the car business. What would you suggest that dealers do right now? I mean, if you are a dealer that is a mom and pop dealer, you're not a big public corporation, what is your strategy?
They're going to have to stay lean and clean, make sure they can have everything that they can do. One of the, I hate bringing up this company like Carvana, the fact that, I know, exactly. But one of their assets is the process. But I've always told dealers, don't be afraid of them. You can do what they do. You have product. You can offer a 7-day guarantee, or at least a 5. A buyback. You can do paperwork online. You can deliver the car. There's nothing, but you have assets, and that's your people. So I think if you push your people, and I'm so surprised when I go to these websites that there's no profiles, no videos. I preach to these dealers. So on my website, my people, I have bio videos of every one of my employees. I have a video of them. I have a bio of them, because that's what I think dealers need to do. Your people are your assets. That's our people. My people are my assets. Promote them. Promote the things that you do in the community. Promote the stuff that you're doing to keep the process clean. One example, we traveling. I'm at the hotel right now. We had to come to St. Louis for a funeral, and we actually went out to eat. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and when I first walked in the door, and I figured my wife was a little scared. I'm like, this place is probably cleaner than a hospital.
Right. Well, you're traveling right now. I see you're in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're traveling.
And so same thing here at the hotel, and same thing at that restaurant. I walk in. I know they sterilized everything, wiped everything down, but you walk in and there's still some crumbs on the floor, and you're going, oh, is it really that clean if they can't clean up the crumbs on the floor? Or you're in the elevator here at the hotel, and they only want one person in the elevator at a time, but yet, and they're cleaning, but yet there's dust on the elevator, button thing and stuff. So you're like, okay, how deep are they really? So you got to really make sure customers are comfortable that you are doing the things that you say you're doing when you're cleaning. Keep the facility nice and clean, the cars nice and clean. Do what Carvana does, offer those things. But the biggest thing as far as inventory too, promote your people, get out on socially online, like we're doing here, and like you've done, I've done, just to stay relevant in front of your customers. But the other thing would be too is to make sure that your inventory is, all your photos and your descriptions are standing tall. Do your what we call the virtual lot walk. You walk your physical lot. But not a lot of dealers touch their cars online. Right now is a seasonal change. So dealers have fall and winter pictures. They have pictures with trees with no leaves. They have snow in the back. Get rid of those.
Exactly.
Again, that makes that car that car looks old and outdated and maybe dirty. And right now, people don't want old, outdated, dirty stuff at this point in time. Clean that stuff up.
Clean your website up. And you said something earlier that really was something I've been preaching for 20 years. Put your bios of your salespeople on the website. I would actually have a video introduction of my sales force. And I visit dealers' websites all the time. And the worst thing in the world is to see a white silhouette picture of a salesperson that they didn't update and put a real picture in there. You know, they got a ghost. You know, your people are your asset. Your people are what we are selling.
And even at that, when they do pictures and they're blurry or in different spots of the dealership, and hire a professional, have them come in. The only thing I've heard dealers complain about, well, I got too much turnover. Well, maybe if you invested in your people and promoted your people, show them how proud you are of them, show them their background, maybe they don't leave you. Or that they're worried that, you know, if they put their certified mechanic on this site, that the dealer down the road will steal them from them. And it's like, well, you know, obviously you got other problems internally if your people are that willing just to leave you off of, you know, somebody calling you up. So, you know, I don't live in that kind of fear, like I said, and I would promote my people as much as possible. But the biggest thing too, when it comes to inventory management, turnaround time is going to be king. You've got to get these cars within 3 days. Again, when we talked about this, market's going to move faster than it ever has. And so that extra 2-3 days that you could save on turnaround time is going to be thousands. And you got to have liquidity in your own inventory. This is cash. You got to move that cash. And that turnaround time is the biggest hurdle with a lot of our dealers. That's got to be the biggest focus when it comes to inventory management.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about LotPop. What does LotPop do?
Well, what we do is we're not an inventory management tool like the vAutos, the Max Digital. You've had Mike Kavanaugh on here with the First Look Max Digital, great crew there. There's dealers.
I love Kavanaugh.
Yeah, they're a great crew there. Tim and everybody at that everybody at that place is great. You got the vAutos. We're not one of those, okay? And because again, I don't need them. Those already exist. Those pricing tools already exist. So the reason why we call it LotPop is we help take that data that's in those systems and look at your lot as a whole instead of individual cars and figure out what the holes are. Are we bleeding through? Are we too heavy? Are we too light? Average investment's going up. Is it going down? How's our marketing, SRPs, VDPs? We connect all these dots to figure out how your lot is moving. And if then we figure out what cars are causing those problems, then we use the inventory management tool to adjust. So basically a consulting firm, but we've created a software. And our biggest key is we do weekly calls with our stores. And our weekly call, my people, there's 9 of us that do calls. There's 20 employees, but there's about 9 of us that do calls. And I did the math of the 9 of us, 270 years. So that's an average of 30 years apiece in the car business. So you're getting people that own their own stores, general managers. You know, these people are in their shoes, because when we do those weekly calls and we're trying to call a dealer out on making adjustments that we know they probably don't want to make, we got to be able to go toe to toe with them.
So in other words, let me condense this. LotPop are virtual and on-site consultants offering your expertise, your experience to advise dealers on the best strategies and best marketing efforts for their pre-owned inventory.
Correct. Yeah, we created what we call lot scores. So we take like 30 key metrics that we go, okay, this is what the best of the best do. So we take your metric, compare it, we got goals. Each one gets a score, A, B, or C. So my team, myself, we all look at their inventory the same way. If the biggest thing is carry to sale rate. What are you carrying? What to make you profitable, because you can't have gross and volume. So how do I do that? Well, we know the best time to make the most money on a car is when it's fresh, right? So the best of the best will sell 60 to 70% of their sales in the first 30 days. If you can get 60 to 70% of your sales going out in the first 30 days of owning those cars, your grosses will go up. The reason why you have an age problem is because you let cars bleed through never. The reason why I have a gross problem is because you have.
Say that again. The reason you have gross problems is because
You have an age problem. You're selling them too late in the cycle. By day 30, day 45, day 50, you're pretty much breaking even on the car. And if 30, 40, 50% of your sales are going out on cars you're barely breaking even on, that's your gross problem. It's not because you had to drop the price. It's not because of V-Auto and the internet and everything else. It's because you took too long to make adjustment on a depreciating asset, period. And the best time to make the most money is when it's fresh. So that's our first goal. But you got to track that. You got to figure out where you're at. And if you're not doing that, why? Why can't you sell 60% in the first 30 days? Could be maybe your average investment.
Why can't you sell 60% turn of inventory every 60 days? Is that what you said?
Well, in the first,
30 days.
That's the thing. If a dealer has 100 cars, you don't need 150 to sell 100. If you have 150, you should be able to sell 150. And then again, you can do it by having gross if you sell 60% in the first 30 days. But you got to track that. And if you can't do that, then why? Is it your turnaround time? Is it your photos? Is it you take too long to get your descriptions and pricing? Is your average investment gone up? Is your pricing gone up? Is you have too many trucks and not enough cars? There's all these metrics that's maybe there's a feed issue going to these sites. So those things we track and we connect those dots and figure out why. But you need to know that, because again, this market's going to move fast. You get a lot of, and then this thing, you've seen my tips. I put a lot of tips and videos out there because dealers can do this themselves. The hard part is, and as you know, going in and training dealers on process management, internet process management, the F&I process, if nobody's there to manage, monitor that, what happens to those processes? They fade away. A dealer implies 12 processes in a year and 2 stick around because somebody actually paid attention to them, and the rest fade away. So when it comes to inventory management, it can't fade away. You got to manage it.
I would agree with that. Now, when we're talking to dealers, and I'm talking basically to dealers that are owned by individuals or owned by families, I'm not talking to AutoNation and Sonic and the big groups. They got their processes. But what would you recommend to the average dealership, which is probably selling 150 units, owned by mom and pop, and not in Mayberry, not in a metropolitan market, somewhere in between? What would you say to do right now? Markets are reopening. People are starting to come back in. Concierge sales, we're starting to take cars out to where people live. What would you recommend?
Did an article in this in 2011 in Dealer Magazine. I want to bring that up about Dealer Magazine to you here in a bit. Our background, because you might not know it or remember too. But anyways, 2011 did an article, Dealer Magazine, about what I call flat pricing, and that's pricing a car at $20,000 instead of $19,999. So I've been studying it. I pushed it for the last 9 years. People do it. People heard of it from maybe their reps and stuff, but I brought it to the forefront because I realized customers are online. They're shopping. They're going to say, I want a car between 20 and 25 grand or 15 and 20 grand. And in $19,995, I'm missing those opportunities. If I'm at $19,995 and somebody narrows the price down from 20 grand to 25 grand, I miss those searches for a buck or two. So it's what I call flat price. And the reason why I bring this up right now, that's the only way I would price my cars, one. But two, people right now, and it happened after a recession, they're going to be on a budget. They're going to be on a strict budget. They're going to go to Google. They're going to go to their bank. They're going to go somewhere and say, hey, payment calculator and $400 a month. Well, that at 3 or 4%, that's 22 grand. They're going to start searching for 22 grand cars. So they're going to be on a very tight budget, and they're going to know price points that they're going to need to look at and stay at to be buying a car in this current situation. So I think flat pricing the car is going to be the biggest impact. It gets you more searches, and it's going to be, again, lining your inventory. The second thing I would do also, though, and we suggested this to the dealer the other day, and guys at Dealer Teamwork, I know, can do this for dealers if they have them. Eric Milch and all them can take care of it. I
love Dealer Teamwork. You got a show with Eric tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I do. And so, and matter of fact, the dealer I was talking to, it's a client of them. I didn't realize it when I brought it up, and I'm like, on your used car inventory, and new car too, I said, on the left rail searches, you need to have price point, payment buckets, 250, 3, 350, 4, so people can go to your website and say, I'm on a $300, because that's the other hard part. As we talk to dealers, there's a lot of cars that were these switch cars. that you would get somebody in the door that maybe be on one car, but the payment's going to be too high, and they go, well, I want an SUV and I only can spend $300. Okay, go show them this. And it could be a car like a Ford C-Max or a Chevy Sonic or even a Jetta or an Altima. And a lot of those switch cars, it was you got away with that because people are on your showroom floor, and you could say, hold on, I got them approved, go show them this car. And you'd switch them based on payment, inequity, down payment, whatever. You're not having that floor traffic as much right now. So what are you doing with a Ford C-Max? No one is looking for a damn Ford C-Max online. So that car gets buried, and you don't get to switch them. That's why you need the payment buckets on the left rail. So somebody goes to your sites and go, what can I get for $300? Oh, a Ford C-Max. I never heard of that. They look at reviews and go, looks like a good vehicle. And then they, now I've got a little bit more interest in those vehicles. So,
Jason, I've been consulting dealerships for 35 years. I've been in the business 45 years. And one thing I can tell you, consumers are not buying price points. Consumers buy payments.
Yep.
Especially on pre-owned. Your pre-owned customer is more of a payment buyer even than your new car buyer, which the majority are payment buyers. And I see dealers that hammer price point and never ever put payment buckets anywhere around the unit. And I think people search by payment more than they search by price.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's we had a VP at the auto called John Griffin, and he would say, it's a kitchen table conversation. They said, people aren't as loyal as they used to be. Yeah, they want a Ford, but if they only have a $250 payment, they'll have to, and all they can do is get that Chevy. They'll just buy the Chevy because their payment's more important. Sitting at that kitchen table, they've already had that conversation, and they can't go over this. Just have to get what they can. They might want to. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to have those payments on there, and those are things. Flat price, so you get in front of people as they're budget shopping. I would have your price points and payments on your website, and then make sure that those cars somehow get in front of people. Those are the cars I would spotlight. Those are the cars that I would do videos, Facebook Live, walk around videos and stuff to get them in front of people, because those switch type cars usually aren't cars people are adamantly looking for online. And so if more people are doing that online, and you don't get to go, hey, go pull up that car and show them that, because they're not on your showroom, you're doing it all online. You got to get those cars in front of them somehow.
Well, one tool I'm talking about right now is Facebook has just introduced Facebook Rooms on Messenger. Now, you and I are talking on Facebook Live right now, and we're using a professional format. But there's going to be, there is a format currently being released by Facebook Messenger where 6, 7, 8 people can be on at the same time. And it's going to be something more for the teenagers and the kids, and then it'll spread. But I can see a great communication sales tool coming out of Facebook Rooms on Messenger.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's what I wanted to bring up. See, the way you evolved, over the years. And I want to bring up a little story, a background story. And I don't know if you know of all this. So 2002, 2003, I'm writing articles in Dealer Magazine along with you. You're kind of their keynote art writer. I know there's some background there and stuff. But you were writing articles. I was in there too. And in 2005, so I was writing about internet process management, and I always held on to the articles. I read what you wrote about a lot of times, because you wrote about the manufacturers and the backgrounds there and stuff. And but at one point in time, you were bashing the internet a bit, and that was back in probably late 2000s. And gosh dang it, you don't know how, I still have a lot of these articles. You don't know how hard I went to go dig through and found it. So anyways, I was on the board of directors for Digital Dealer to get it started. Back then, so I was on board of directors to get it going. The very first Digital Dealer we did was in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't think you're involved in it. It was probably the second or third one. You could probably tell me. But Mike Roscoe invited you to be the keynote speaker. And I remember pulling Mike Roscoe aside going, Mike, what are you doing? Didn't Jim just bash the internet? Here you got him speaking as the Digital Dealer keynote speaker. I'm like, what's going on here? And he's like, no, just this. He does a great job. And and again, but that's the beauty of what you've done. I mean, you've evolved and you've moved, and talking about the Facebook messaging stuff, that's kind of things that you pay attention to, and I give you praise because, like I said, you definitely, with your internet battleground or internet battle plans and stuff, and your conventions there and stuff, the way you do these Facebook lives and stuff, it's kind of cool to watch that. And that's why I've always, like I said, watched you from a distance and been involved with some of the stuff. That's why I'm excited to be on the show, but I don't know if you remember any of that. But
I remember. I remember when the internet first came out. I was really upset because they were driving the grosses down and inserting vendors between the customers and the dealers. Which I see that revolution happening now, where dealers are taking back their turf. The lead providers are not providing the leads anymore. I mean, it's gotten to the point now that I think lead providers are nearly obsolete. Dealers are learning to generate their own business.
Yeah, I think the auto buy tells and stuff are where people go and buy, build out a car. I think the listing sites are still necessary, just like we're talking now. How do I get this Ford C-Max in front of people? Just run all your inventory or all your marketing up in SEO, SEM. You got to hope somebody's going to their computer saying Ford C-Max Olathe, Kansas, so your car can show up. So I do think there's some importance to getting on these listing sites that customers do shop on. But I also push a lot of them. I know, a lot of the CEOs there, and I've pushed them, get rid of this good, great, and fair deal. That's not for you to dictate. It's up between the dealer and the customer.
You're talking car gurus now. You're talking car gurus now.
Well, I don't mind buying a high mileage car because I don't drive much, and in a year or two, my miles are broken even. So if I can get a high mileage car, so who's to dictate? And that's a good or great or fair deal. I might want the orange, or I might want a stick, or there's certain things so that's between the dealer and the customer. I always told them, you need the ranking needs to be defaulted to nearest to the dealership. If you can, because the customer wants to buy locally, they don't have to travel or ship. So if the customer, if they can do a search and the dealer closest to them with the most relevant vehicle, I think it's a good pitch for the dealers. The dealers win because if somebody's in their backyard, your ad shows up first, not the Carvana from 200 miles away. And the customer wins because they get a local dealer that is in their backyard. But that's stuff I can do without. But I do think there is some like I said, you need to get your cars as fronted. Dealers used to get their dealership on the busiest intersections of towns, right? So we get our balloons and our purple gorillas on the roof and drive traffic as drive-by traffic. I think that's the equivalent of like the Auto Trader, Cars.com, Car Gurus. They are the busiest intersections on the internet town. So you probably want to be there if you can afford it. But just know their game. And that's what I like about flat pricing, because it allows you to manipulate their system a little bit, put your cars in there, but know their game and know how they work so you can maximize your results on them.
Well, I got a very important question to ask. Hang on 1 second so I can prepare for it. How can I get in touch with you?
Easy enough. One of the things, jrice at LotPop.com. So
hang
Facebook,
on. jrice at
LotPop.com.
Okay, I got that.
And then,
how else?
Facebook messaging. Again, my Jasen with an E-N, not an O-N, because there is a Jasen O-N that looks just like me on Facebook. Get rid of that one. So that's there. And they can give me a call. My cell is 314.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Hang on 1 second. Two-finger typist, 314.
568.
Okay.
2754.
Okay.
2754. Now, also, YouTube, our channel's LotPop Inc. There's 250 video tips on there.
Okay.
People subscribe there. I do at least once a week. I'm doing some kind of content for dealers to help them with inventory management, internet lead process management. Because again, I did 8 years of selling cars on the internet 20 years ago. It's all relevant. So we do help dealers with internet process management, but I don't push that because I think inventory needs to come first. I think a lot of dealers have things backwards. I think you need your inventory right first. Then you build a good process management to handle the leads that you drive, because there's no point in building a good internet process management if your inventory looks like crap and you're not getting leads. So get the leads, because traffic solves all problems. Let's get some traffic on our cars, figure out how to manage that traffic. Once you do that effectively, then go into marketing. Let's start marketing so we're not wasting our marketing dollars on bad cars and bad follow-up process. So I think inventory needs to come first. So I don't promote our internet process management part a whole lot, because there's a lot of internet consultants out there, as there is. But two, I don't want to help them with that until I know I got their inventory right. So let's get your inventory right, and then if you need help on the internet stuff, we got plenty of help there. So, a lot of the stuff I push out is inventory, but sometimes I throw in the internet process stuff in there too.
Yeah. So as a pre-owned consultant, pre-owned processes, pre-owned strategies, and you're helping to manage and measure. You can't control what you can't measure. You can't increase what you can't measure. So LotPop gives measurement, outside source. How many times have I had to argue with a used car manager as a total dealership consultant? I go in as a top level consultant. How many times have I had a used car manager? Oh, listen, boss, I can sell my way out of that.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that? Yeah.
I'll get somebody on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll get the money out of it. Excuse me. I don't care if that car's been here 60 days, and I'm a 60-day turn guy. I don't know where you're at on that, but I'm going to turn inventory in 60 days if we don't sell it. Yeah, I'm going to take a short loss. Mm-hmm. And I've always been that way. And we got a used car manager. Boss, look, I can't replace that car at auction. I can't get that car for the same money. I'm in that car, right? I don't care. There's a reason somebody didn't buy it.
Yeah. Why do you want to go lane and buy another one that you couldn't even sell? So who cares? Use the money on something else.
Yeah, exactly. So I could sell my way out of it. I've had to argue many old used car dogs on that subject.
Oh yeah. And but that's the hard thing. One of the things we've always said, that it's the worst thing in the cabin to a used car manager is to make a $3,000 deal on an 80-day-old car, because they think they can do it all the time. They think that they're invincible and they can do it all the time. But it's hard though, because it's basically you're admitting that you made a mistake. And I mean, sometimes the car managers are like the weather people. 50% of the time, we're going to be freaking wrong. Or because half the time, if half my inventory is purchased cars, guess what that means? I was the last guy with the hand up, so I'm the highest bidder. I own the car too high. We made 50%. We're bad as the weather people. We're not right all the time. So it's hard to admit to those mistakes, right? You don't get too many weather people tell them, "Hey, I was wrong yesterday. Sorry, there's no rain. Enjoy today."
I don't see that often. No, I don't. No, not you mention it.
Yeah. But it's hard.
Stephen Stearns is giving you a little creds here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I remember when I spoke when I was the keynote at the second digital dealer.
Is that what it was? The second one? Yeah.
It was digital dealer too. I was keynote at 4 or 5 of them early on when Roscoe and I I was writing for the magazine, and I keynoted 4 or 5 of them. I'll never forget when I showed people video for the first time. It was probably 2003. 4 or 5, I don't know what, somewhere in there. And I showed people a flip camera, if you recall.
Yeah.
And I said, anybody know what this is? Nobody knew what it was. Within a year, it was epidemic. And then within 2 years, it was obsolete because iPhones were coming in.
Yeah. So you plug in the USB port and load up your video.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I advocated video probably before anybody in the industry. I was way ahead on video, not because I'm such a genius, but because I saw it at the National Speakers Association convention.
Okay.
And I said, wow. And I brought it to the car business, and we always lag a little bit. So that was amazing.
Well, that's what you can learn from other. I mean, that's the benefit. I do a little bit of research on, real estate and stuff. You can learn from other industries. As a matter of fact, you might appreciate this. I bought Yellow Pages for Dummies just a few years ago, only because, nothing's really changed. Why did somebody call their locksmith business AAA Locksmith? Is so they could be at the top of the search when somebody did it, in the Yellow Pages, so they can be at the top of the search when people look for a locksmith, right? And so that's what people are trying to do right now with Google. So I look at other industries, or I go back to other things that might seem outdated, but nothing's changed. It's this new way of doing it, right? So AAA locksmith, you don't need to do that anymore with Google, right? But that's how you did it back then. But there's strategies in there that you can go, oh crap, that would probably work now. Let me try this, and go, sure enough, next thing you know,
Funny you would mention, I worked for Superior Datsun when I first got into business. And across town, they opened up another Nissan point, Sunrise Nissan. And people said, why did they call it Sunrise Nissan? Because it came right in the alphabet before Superior. It was right on top of us every time you looked us up in the Yellow Pages. Sunrise comes before Superior. So
yep. That's what I said. When I started looking at flat pricing, then I started looking at marketing, and I'm like, holy crap! Like visual direction. We did that in our print ads. We had a payment of $99 or $199, and we had the car pointing to that payment as visual direction, so that the picture of the car pointed it. So we're like, okay, well that's got to work online too, right? So all my first photos should be pointing left to right, pointing to the listing on the page. So those strategies. And so I realized we're more of a marketer than a used car manager right now. Your job is to get your cars in front of as many people as possible. And the way you do that is marketing them online more effectively. Visual direction works, flat pricing works. So I'm like, gosh, you got to start. And I've yet to meet a used car manager that went to college for marketing. But you need to start studying that and understanding there's different aspects of different ways to take advantage. Like what I was talking about, if you're going to be on these third-party sites, know how they're structured and then take advantage of it. How can people left rail search? What's their price point buckets? Did you know cars.com, you could do a 20 grand search and a 25 grand search? Well, 22 grand's in the top. On Auto Trader, they allow customers to type in whatever number they want, and 22 grand is in the top 20 most searches on Auto Trader. So 22 grand, I can do that on Auto Trader, but I can't do it on cars.com because they have 5 grand buckets, 20 and 25. Well, why does 22 grand work? We'll do a payment calculator, and it's a $400 payment. A lot of $400 payment buyers out there, so people looking at 22 grand. So once you understand how these sites work, again, you got to be a marketing manager instead of just a used car manager. Figure out how these sites work and maximize them. Position your cars into those buckets. Your searches come up.
Let's wind back time 35 years ago when I was in the industry. You ready? I mean, if you can imagine it. I had a trick I used to do in marketing for used cars that was incredible. In the classifieds in the newspaper was our main advertising vehicle in the 80s. I would buy 100 half-inch ads, black double reverse, black with white print. And all it had was the name of the dealership and the phone number. And I would put it sprinkled through the classifieds. And if there was a great ad from a Chevrolet dealership, that little black ad of mine would appear under it and appear to be the bottom of their ad.
So you're getting all these calls. We're like, no, yeah, we got that in stock. Come on down. Oh, that just sold. Let me show you something else.
Superior Nissan, and where I was, Sunrise Nissan had a salesman named Jack Ziegler.
Oh, no.
And he was their top guy. I was their top guy. I was the top salesman. Wow. So every once in a while, I'd get a phone call. Mr. Ziegler, we're ready to get that 280ZX we talked about. Darlene. Oh, Darlene, I'm at our other location today.
Just down the street.
They're calling for Jack Ziegler. Oh, yeah, I'm at the other location today.
Well, I had something similar to that. I did a dealer trade across town, across the river, and it was back when I was doing internet, probably 2001, 2002. And I pulled up to the dealership to do my dealer trade. And I said, the guy says, "Can I help you?" I'm like, I'm here for a dealer trade. He looked at me, he goes, "Are you Jason Rice?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? How do you know that?" He goes, "Oh, I get your customers here all the time." Because when I sent out my email, I always had my photo in my email. So he recognized my face from his customers would walk in with my email for them to beat the deal. So then I started doing zip code closing percentages and looking at my zip code closing percentage. And I knew that part of town, people shopped us and then taking our offer there. So then I'd go, "Okay, you got that zip code, 500 under invoice. This zip code, 200, and invoice." And so I knew if they're going to steal my deal, they're going to take a beating, So that got me pushing the same freaking thing on them,
It's amazing. I bet between the two of us, we got enough war stories to go another hour.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we talked about. Let me get that back up on the screen. I want to be sure that people see. That's correct.
Yep.
Fantastic. Now you offer full consulting services for pre-owned dealerships in their inventory, their processes, their internet processes if need be, their turn processes, their marketing, everything.
Yep. Yeah. We'll review. I mean, I just had a dealer email me today saying, "Hey, they sent me what Auto Trader was offering. Hey, what'd you think?"
Uh-oh, did Jason pop off? Jason, did you lose your connection? What happened to you, big boy? Oh, I hate that. Okay. Wonder if Jason, come on back in if you still got the code. I've been playing with my hat this whole time. My hat's sort of off kilter here. There we go, like a rapper. Let's see. I get the hat. Yeah, I think that's about straight. Is that straight? Yeah. Yeah. Can you see me now? Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Here comes Jason back. All right. There he comes. Okay, you're back.
Yeah. So we do free inventory evaluation, meaning when we can get on a call, show them what they're doing wrong with their photos, descriptions, look at their inventory management tool, give them some tips. Like I said, anything that we do, they can do themselves. It's just a matter of connecting the dots and consistently doing it. So we offer free inventory evaluations. Matter of fact, when we started this whole pandemic and closing down, one of the tools we have, if they're a VIN Solutions dealer, we can throw their leads into our system to help them pinpoint leads that are bleeding through that, I could say, give me 0 to 30-day leads that we haven't called or emailed in 5 days, and boom, here's a list. And we offer that for free to help dealers get through this pandemic a little bit. So for a month or two, so to help them manage those leads process, especially when guys were closed and they're hoping their BDCs were making calls and emails from home. But yeah, we got plenty of resources to throw at dealers to help them get going.
Let me say it again. First of all, I am not financially involved with Jason in any way. This is me promoting a good service. And that being said, I will always tell you if I am financially involved with somebody that I interview. I am not financially involved in any way with LotPop. I admire their work. I like what they do. And I think they're a very reputable company and they have great results. That's my interest in having Jason on today. That being said, Jason will give you a free evaluation of your used car marketing, your used car inventory. He'll give you a complete analysis of what you're doing, no charge, and no obligation to hire his company after he does that. So his number is 314-568-2754. It's on the screen. If you got any doubts, and I'm talking about upper level management, come on now, don't. If you're a five-day Greenpeace salesman, don't give him a call. I mean, seriously, I'm talking upper level management. If you've got any questions about your used cars, now's the time to call him and ask him to do an evaluation, to do an analysis of what you're doing, and maybe make some suggestions of what you could do better, but you don't have to hire him.
Yeah.
He would like you to hire him.
Well, we'll give that evaluation for free. But I will also say, we're not for everybody because, we gut check you. We we're going to push you to do things that are tough, and especially if you got an aging problem. It's not going to be fun to go through the pain that we're going to put you through. It's kind of like physical therapy or chemo and stuff. I mean, it's not pain. You got to get rid of this, and you got to get cleaned up. But once we get you cleaned up, you're going to see, again, our dealers, if they're carrying 100, we're selling at least 100, if not 120 off of 100, and grosses go up. Like I said at the beginning, if you can get 60, 70% in your first 30 days, but that forces you to get better in your turnaround time, that forces you to be a better buyer, forces you to be a little bit more competitive out the gate. So but we got all the data to back it up, and on our website, we do have a testimonial video from half a dozen of our clients and their results. And it's not BS. The hard part is going through the pain.
That's LotPop.com.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, what parting words would you like to say to the audience? We've got a number of people on. The replay audience is going to be probably in the thousands. What would you say?
Well, I mean, no different than what you're doing here. The car industry has been a huge blessing for me in my life. I've always treated it as a career, not a job. And so I like to give back. And that's, again, why my YouTube channel. I would just say, go check out YouTube. You don't have to, submit a lead to us or anything like that. Just check out the YouTube channel or my Facebook, because I'll do lives there. And it's my way to giving back, because, we've had internal debates. We're giving away too much information. That, does a dealer need to sign up for telling them everything they need to do? It's like, well, no, I don't do it for that. If I can help a dealer, I don't need it financially. I benefit out of it. If I can help a dealer, I'll help a dealer. So I would just say, go to that YouTube channel, subscribe to it or whatever. And it's kind of like you do these videos and interviews to help dealers out with no return investment on it. Other than just giving back to an industry that we love. So
let me ask you a question. What is your YouTube channel?
It's just LotPop Inc. So youtube.com/LotPop Inc.
Okay. Let me see here a second.
Yep, that's it.
That look correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if they want to see your YouTube and what type of videos are on your YouTube?
Usually it's kind of inside of what we're seeing on because we do at least 5,000 price changes a week between all of our dealers. So we see patterns across the country. So tips on, hey, here's what we're seeing happening right now. Here's things you need to pay attention to, metrics that matter, that don't. I've got interviews with small town dealers to highline stores to turnaround lot porters, how the turnaround time of 3 to 4 days, rapid recon interviews, to used car consultant interviews. Meaning, Tommy Gibbs is a used car consultant. We interviewed him. And
Tommy Gibbs. Tommy Gibbs and I, now we're going to go back to the early 90s, the late 80s. Tommy Gibbs was a Toyota dealer in Tallahassee, Florida. And he called me, and we got that dealership retailing over 300 units a month.
Nice.
I mean, in Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
Think about that a second. And I consulted Tommy Gibbs for a couple years until he sold his interest in the store. I mean, and we did tremendous numbers. I mean, Tallahassee, Florida is not a market that you would ordinarily see a 300 unit. And they were over-dealered. I think there were 5 other Toyota dealerships in the overall metro of that city. And we were killing it. And he had a general manager named Mitch Lyons. I'll never forget, Mitch and I used to butt heads all the time, and I could overrule him, which made him even more pissed off. But, you don't have enough salespeople. He said, Ziegler, we're knocking the cover off the ball. We sold 300 units last month. You don't have enough salespeople. I said, how many did you sell last month? 305. How many did you sell the month before? 290. How many did you sell the month before that? We look it up in 306. 306, 290, 306, 288. So you have an up month and a down month because your salespeople hit their comfort zone and they didn't perform every other month because you made it too easy for non-performers to make a good living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had some great. What's that?
Heroes to zeros, right?
Well, anyway, it was amazing because Tommy and I got a lot of history. I admire Tommy. Tommy's a good man.
Yeah, I interviewed him, and I stretched that over 2 shows because it's a good interview. And he's a used car consultant, but we don't look at each other as competitors because he likes to go in house. He likes to go in house, sit down with the team, talk to everybody for half a day, and then sit down and give them in depth, analysis of what's going on in their inventory. And me, I did the total opposite. I left y'all to get off the road. I'm like, I'm not traveling all over the place. So, anytime if there's a dealer that needs in-house consultant, I call Tommy Gibbs up. But we'll do the more in-depth weekly calls and stuff like that. So there's interviews with him on there. Yeah. So the YouTube channel's got a little bit of everything on there.
I traveled.
And they go on podcast.
I traveled for 30 years, 250 days a year sometimes. I got 5 million miles with Delta.
Wow.
And it was crazy. There was times I was in 3 cities in the same week in 3 different dealerships. And, like I say, I've been in 1,000 showrooms physically. Mm-hmm. And I don't do that anymore. I used to raise my prices, and I could never raise my prices too high. But when just before the crash in 2008, I was charging $10,000 a day plus first class travel. I don't fly in the back of no planes. I mean, know what goes on back there. But
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we our monthly fee is less than what I would charge in a day. So it's that was the hard part. I just didn't want to have to keep chasing the next gig and get off the road for the family and stuff. And like for 8 years, 3 or 4 days a week, and on the road, and every day I was at least 3 or 4 dealers because we'd spend about an hour and go to the next store and visit them. And yeah, it's just you see a lot. It's fun.
Well, I met a lot of good people. I know a lot of good people. I'm doing business today with the grandchildren of the original dealers I did business with. It's absolutely crazy. But anyway, I've been a long time admirer of LotPop. I see your results. I know what you're achieving in these dealerships. And I would definitely say I would endorse and recommend your services to any dealer that I know that knows me and trust my word on things. Because if you've got a used car inventory problem, especially right now that we're coming out of a crisis, you're going to need to monitor what you do more closely than you ever have. You're going to have your thumb squarely on the pulse of what's going on. I mean,
and that's why we changed our software. It's looking at it every day now. We're used to pulling data once a week. Now it's looking at it every day. We look at 2-week sale rates. The 30 and 45 day metrics are obsolete right now. 45 days ago.
No, you can't do it. It's day by day. It's day by day.
I look at it every day. So we're blessed. We're already in that transition of looking at daily data and weekly and biweekly data for stocking purposes and not 30-day metrics. And we're already building out that way before this hit. But now I'm glad we were going down that path because, again, it's going to move faster. You got to look at it daily.
Well, like right now, we're in a severe inventory shortage. I mean, people are calling other dealers trying to buy their inventory. It's crazy. But I predict, and I think you do too, there's a tsunami of inventory about to flood the market. And then the next day, it might be a shortage. We're going to see shortages. We're going to see glutted inventory on the market more than we can. I mean, it's going to take day-by-day monitoring.
And I think new cars actually are going to kind of benefit, because the fact that some of the factories shut down, if they would have overproduced in this hit, like the recession where they had production just flowing and then all of a sudden it crashes and they needed this big cash for clunkers incentives to get this inventory moving. But the fact that the factories had to shut down and they couldn't produce, I think ends up helping them kind of break even because they might not have that pent up demand, the glut of inventory sitting out there. So I think new cars that might end up balancing out for them. Okay.
It might, but the other factor is this coronavirus has got, I haven't been out of the house. We made a bank deposit today because most of the money I make today comes in the mailbox. You know, so we made a bank deposit today, and you know, so here I am driving around, you know, going to the bank. We did the drive-in, wearing our gloves. People are hunkered down. I don't go out of the house, and our
Use
customers
scan the checks. Can't you
yeah.
scan the check?
Yeah, we scan the checks, but for the business account, my wife still wants to physically do the whole thing. Yeah, she's that's what she wants to do. We'll do it that way. I would probably do a little more electronic banking, but she still does QuickBooks herself, and you know what the heck, you know, I don't need to be working anymore. We got a strong multiple 7 digits in the bank. I've got enough cash to last the rest of my life and half of another lifetime. But I got to do it. I got to stay in the business.
Yeah,
got to stay in the business. You know,
it's hard to get it out of your blood.
Well, it is, and the fun part is I'm still relevant. You know, you mentioned reinventing myself. You know, it's incredible. Well, listen, Jasen, we got your information on the screen. I strongly, strongly, strongly advise any dealer that's struggling with used cars, struggling with decisions, you know, you need some outside guidance. You just want outside measurement. Give Jasen a call. Check him out. You know, J Rice at LotPop. Drop him an email. Go look at their instructional videos on YouTube, youtube.com/LotPop Inc. And Jasen, anything else you'd like to say before we end the broadcast?
No, and even the good operators we make, you know, great, because they're usually already get it, and they're analytical and they want it the next edge and get better. So those are usually our best stories. The guys that are struggling and have this big problem.
I've got a reputation for growing dealerships to the big numbers, but the truth of the matter is, when I started this company, my vision was that every loser in the world was going to hire me. every dealership that was a non-performer, but guess what? The losers, they're going to stay losers. They didn't hire me. The people who were already winning hired me.
Yeah.
You know, when I talk about growing dealerships, I always talk about we grew this dealership from 300 to 500. We drew this dealership from 400 to 1,000. I'm not talking about growing a dealership from 50 to 60, you know, because the dealers that weren't performing never did hire me.
Yeah. Or if they did, they always pushed back and didn't want to. And it's like, well, what are we doing here? Because you hired me for a reason, but you want to argue with everything that we're trying to do for you.
Yeah, well, here comes.
We don't need your money that bad.
Here's the word. Here's what they tell you. Well, listen, Jasen, we really like your stuff, but we want to modify it.
Modify Get back to a little bit what we were doing before, and a little bit of your stuff.
We want to alter. We want to alter your program so weak sucks can survive.
Well, and we've fired dealers before. To be honest, I mean, we have, because I don't want to take your money. Don't pay me then. Let's just separate and go our own ways then.
There was a dealer in Wisconsin, and I'm not going to name the dealer because he's still there. I went in his office one day. I said, I can save you thousands immediately. He said, how? I said, just pay me what you owe me up to date and get me to the airport. Save you thousands. You don't have to pay me another day. Yeah. And why would you call an award-winning chef and then change the recipe?
There you go.
Yeah. Excuse me. I mean, I'll check my track record against yours. And I've said that to any number of people. And I tell managers, I don't want your job. I have a job. I didn't come here to get your job. I came here to work with you. You know,
your partner, not your enemy.
Exactly. Well, listen, Guy, I'm so pleased we've done this. I'll have this in MP4, and I'm going to put it all over the internet in the next couple of days for replays. And let's see what happens. Keep in touch with me. Let me know who called you, what results you got out of this video, because I really want you to call Jasen right now. Not right now, but in the next couple of days. If you're having any used car questions or struggles, give Jasen a call. Do it. Jasen, thank you.
Thank you. Join dealer teamwork. sign up for tomorrow. We're going to dig into metrics and actually have charts and everything. And I love this conversation part. Tomorrow I'm doing it with Eric Milch and Dealer Teamwork, and we're digging into like metrics and charts and stuff. So
well, I don't do that well. I don't do that well. When I look at the first 4 letters of the word analytics.
Yeah.
Take care, big guy.